Good morning. Welcome to the Josh Trades morning live stream. I'm Josh Trades, founder of the Bison Blueprint. Today we're going to go through some really good setups we have in the market. Sorry, just one second. Didn't realize my camera wasn't activated, so I'll work on that as we get started. But first of all, we'll start out with the S&P 500 like we do every morning, taking a look at things here. We've got the S&P. There we go with the camera. The S&P made a nice push the last couple weeks on a big short squeeze off of this 625 level, all the way back up near to all-time highs. We're at 686, 688 now. We're starting to pull into these resistances. We've just been relentless on this move up, pushing through every resistance level like it's butter. Pretty crazy move. Push through this level here. We created a gap from about 660 to 670 and consolidated, pushed off that gap again. Another high, and now we're starting to pull into the 690 resistance. So between the 690 and the 698, we've got a huge volume node there. So we're starting to get some signs of maybe slowing down. And of course, this was a news-driven rally. So we have to be aware of what's going on in the news, because as the news changes, so can this rally. But really here, what we're looking at is we're starting to see some possibilities for a reversal here in the 690 to 698 zone. For me, the target for that is going to be the 650 area. Try and fill this gap, retest this trend line, and then kind of figure out where we're at from there. There's really some uncertainty here about what might happen with this expired trend line. You know, when they're expired, we can always break below, but some definite uncertainty here. We could see a push into 700, 710. If there is good news coming out of the war, I would look for that to immediately fail. That would most likely be some sort of liquidity trap, and then the narrative would turn on to, what were the consequences of the war? What's the economic consequences of what we just went through, and all of the gas shortages and fertilizer shortages? So look for that narrative shift, even if the war does come to a close here. That becomes our bearish narrative shift here. I don't expect this to move above this trend line here at 710. This is a very, very artificial, kind of engineered rally, insider trading. The whole thing is very fake, to try and get Wall Street out of some positions before a bigger downturn in the markets. So if you're in SPY, another great opportunity to exit positions is going to be up here in the 700, 710 area, and then start looking at some rotations into more defensive names before the results of the war start impacting the economy. So let's take a look at a couple other things here. We'll take a look at the QQQ. Similar setup here, broke down to about 555, and coming into this area of resistance and high volume around 630 to 640. So expecting some resistance there. We would probably see this come down and retest 590 or so. On that trend line, we're starting to see some overheating on RSI. We've got some MACD weakness showing up. But here on the daily, still not overheated yet. So same thing here, same setup, expecting resistance here. Could see a push through to 670, which would be honestly pretty insane given the circumstances. But the quote that came to mind this morning is that the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So the market is obviously being irrational right now, and there's not anything we can do about it except just react and try and play along the best we can. So nothing about this makes sense, but the market doesn't always have to make sense. In fact, it doesn't almost all the time. So caution, push above this. This would really require some news, I believe, to push above. We do have big tech earnings in about 14 days. I believe they're the 28th, 29th, 30th, something like that. So the market's really going to be holding its breath for that. All of the Mag 7, I believe, it looks like, with the exception of NVIDIA, they, I believe, report a little bit late, but 6 of the 7 are reporting on 28th and 29th. So Apple, 30th, Amazon is the 30th, Google is the 29th, Meta is the 29th, Microsoft is the 29th, Tesla is the 22nd. So interesting there with Tesla a little bit early. So same game plan here. Exiting longs up here at the top, positioning strongly short in this area from 630 to 670, and then same thing on SPY from 700 to 710, starting to really position heavily short and exiting all longs there. There is the opportunity to maybe get caught up sides and have some kind of additional short squeeze here. But I think that most of the squeeze is out of the way here already. So take a look at the DXY. This is part of why we're seeing this big rally, is the failure of the dollar coming off of this $100 level. So a couple rejections here, a little poke above for liquidity, and now just a massive failure in the DXY. So it doesn't seem like anything is stopping it. I don't know if this expired trend line is going to stand in the way. Depending on how you draw it, it looks like it's already underneath that. 4 hours getting oversold. So this is just really the signs of a squeeze. Everything's just bleeding out. Resistances aren't working, supports aren't working, things like that. Everything's just completely squeezing relentlessly. So it's been an interesting week to just watch the market just blow through every resistance level super clearly, super fast. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. We are seeing a peak out of this channel in Bitcoin. Same thing with Ethereum. I'll show you that chart. But we were talking about, we liked the possibility of a $50,000 to $60,000 entry here. But now that we've poked above, really for confirmation, what I'm looking for here is that this can clearly break above, get to 80, and then come back down and settle in this 70 area for another entry. I really want to see a clear break of this trend line before entering. This is a little bit too early for me to feel super confident, but if you want to go ahead and put some risk on here, it's starting to shape up as a good opportunity in the crypto space. So same thing with Ethereum, broken out of the trend line. Here, kind of struggling to get over this $2,400 area, which has been trouble for it in the past. So we want to see it get above there. We want to see it get to maybe 2,700 or so before subsequently failing, retesting, and unloading back up. So don't get FOMO with these green candles here. You'll most likely get a retrace and the chance to re-enter. One of the things that stands out to me is really the divergence here in crypto and the market. So as you'll see, crypto, ever since the high in September, has been beaten down. Here on Ether, we're down from 5,000 to 1,700. So I think that's like what, a 30 or a 60% drop. But when you look at the S&P 500 from September, here we're really even higher. We barely got lower. So as the cryptos have become just leveraged versions of the S&P and of the QQQs, it's interesting to see that divergence, that all of a sudden cryptos beat up, and we're going to kind of maybe seeing a meet in the middle here on those names. So keep an eye out for that in the future. Let's take a look at the VIX. Here we've got the VIX is getting absolutely destroyed. Same thing with the melt up in the market. The VIX has just been melting down. It's blowing through every trend line like butter. Just blew through this trend line, blew through this bull flag. Now it's building a channel here, but it's just consistently just leaking and just will not stop being bearish here on the VIX futures. So really last chance here at 16. I don't really expect it to break that. That would be pretty bizarre for it to break below this super large time frame trend line, but we'll see. So that could really be our indicator for a kind of a top in the market. So something to keep an eye out for there. Apple, this chart has been confusing for me, so I'm just kind of staying hands off on it. But a lot of different signals being displayed here, some bearish, some bullish, and when that happens, it's just best to stay hands off and look at other instruments, find places where you're more confident and make plays on those. So a little bit of a breakdown, but showing also a bull flag here. So we'll see if this can make a push up to 300. It has not had as strong of a run as some of the other AI names in this last week. This last week's rally was almost exclusively tied to AI names. So I'm going to show you some of those charts later. And then we'll talk about some flow that's coming in on unusual whales for some of those names. Amazon, massive push off of support here, 200 to 240. Good place to start looking for an exit. Does have the chance to push up to about 265, and really looking for it to stall there, but kind of building a potential head and shoulders here with the liquidity trap up top. But that doesn't mean it can't create a double top here at 260, 265. So keep an eye on some resistance here. And as we look at these individual Mag 7 names, which really make up such a huge part of the market cap of the S&P 500, as these start to get bearish, so does the S&P. So kind of same look as the S&P here. We've got a small void up above that Amazon can push into. Google, same thing, building a head and shoulders. Had a big breakdown, and that's why this was such a crazy squeeze, is because this was such a clear break below the neckline, and the failed breakdowns always have the strongest moves. So really just squeezing the heck out of us and getting back to this like 330 level here. Highs at 350. So we'll see how it reacts at those levels. Meta. Clean up some lines here. We had same thing, a nice breakdown, but coming into this a couple year trend line here, price pushed off of that, and same thing, just straight up squeeze, unrelenting, and we'll see what happens in this. Right now we're at the 50-day moving average, but we'll see what happens at 750 or so. As if price decides to get back up there for one more run. Microsoft's been really lagging the others. I do have calls in this, hoping for this to play a little bit of catch up here, but it did break down from this bigger picture pattern. Was expecting this to collapse, and it has so far has not. So if this can reclaim the trend line, we're looking at that same kind of false breakdown squeeze here in Microsoft. So keep an eye on that. And we'll look at the IGV in just a second. NVIDIA, same thing, was right at its bearish line. 165 was the line in the sand that I had to really make this look bearish, and dipped its toe and absolutely ripped from there. Just crazy rips on these names. But as you can see, not a ton of volume on them. So this is all very artificial market manipulation kind of stuff, especially the way that the ceasefire and the negotiations were handled and announced and all that. Just super clear insider trading type of stuff. So looking for this to maybe catch some resistance here at 195, 200, and then potential downside from there. Tesla's had a really interesting look to it, very algorithmic here, just hanging out in this trend line for over since the beginning of December. So looking to see if this can get a break upside. There was a whale that put on some 440 calls recently that I thought were interesting. So see if it can get above this trend line. It does have earnings as a landmine on the 22nd. So I mentioned the IGV. The biggest name in this, I believe, is Microsoft, but it also includes all of the software names like Oracle, Adobe, HubSpot. Anything like that is going to be in the software sector ETF. So as we look at this, kind of same pattern that we're seeing everywhere else, false breakdown of these trend lines. So when you look at Microsoft, very similar here, false breakdown of the trend line. And now we're sitting at support. And we're, again, this is where I don't want to put chips on the table on a name like this because it's just not an A+ setup for me. I'm sharing analysis with you and kind of grasping at straws at what might happen, giving a couple of different ideas of how this might play out. But this is not a setup that I'm confident in where I would actually make a bet because we've got conflicting information with these trend line breakdowns. We've got support. Like it's just messy and it's just not something that I'm super interested in here. So looking for this to break above this trend here, these kind of need to be updated a bit to really reflect what these channels are looking like. So here, that's a little bit more accurate. And then maybe here. So once we get above 82.5, this can really start to squeeze. Yesterday was a huge name, as you can see here. It was a huge name in software names. Things like Adobe had a nice squeeze. Oracle, I think, was up like 10 or 12%, something huge, but really squeezing here. Looks like it was ready to break down, dipped its toe below the trend line. So we'll see what's going to happen with IGV. There's some encouraging signs, but I've been burned on IGV before. So I'm just kind of hanging out, watching this one. Palantir is another name in there. Some more insider trading and stock manipulation on this one. The president even named it by name using its stock symbol the other day. Right at support, which is something that we've seen out of the government a lot lately, pumping stocks right at support. So expecting this to potentially run into this 200 level before its final failure. So keep an eye on that. But any break below 120, and this is going to maybe 80, maybe 50. So I'm not sure if I'm going to put a bet on this one. I kind of missed the entry here at 125, but potential short squeeze there. And a lot of these against the grain rallies are super insane, just like we saw on the SPY. When you have this breakdown and people start to get bearish, who do not, when investors don't have these support levels on their chart, they start to get bearish here. They start to see it falling off a cliff, and they think, okay, I'm going to join in, I'm going to short this. And then all it does is rip back in their face because of the support level. So this is a great setup. What I'm actually trying to play more of is this reversal. We saw it here, a quick reversal. I think it can do it again. So we'll see how that goes on Palantir. Let's check in on one of my positions here with Johnson & Johnson. I do have puts on this name. They did have earnings this morning. So looking for this name to really, they're having their conference call as we speak. The earnings were good. The forecast was good. I think they raised. But again, just another example of why technical analysis matters so much, and just because they beat and raise doesn't mean that the stock price is going to go up, which is a really hard thing for people to digest when they first get into investing. It's very counterintuitive, but really just showing a topping pattern here. I'm looking to take profits at 230, 225, 220. So hoping that this move today can push price below 230. But we do have this expired trend line here potentially serving as support here at 230. So we'll see how this opens. Needs to have some kind of catalyst push. I don't know if there's something that's said on the call or whatever that can really start pushing this below 230. So we'll see how that works. Interesting chart here. Avis budget car rentals is going through a massive short squeeze. I've been looking for a place to get involved in this, to short this. Just looking for the right spot, because this has, again, been relentless. It blew through this 317 level all the way to 371, all the way to, I think, 400, almost 380 overnight. But we're just getting overcooked readings on every timeline. But as you can see, it can stay overbought for a long time. Like here, been an 86 RSI on the 4-hour. But that was when price was only 150, and it's subsequently gone on to just stay ridiculously overbought consistently for the next almost 1 month. So that's really indicative of a short squeeze, and that's why you can't use RSI as a standalone indicator. You have to use support and resistance. So when you look at this 330 level, just too powerful to stop it. The squeeze is too intense. So we're starting to get at this upper range on the weekly, 88 on the weekly. On the daily, we're at 95. So that's crazy. I mean, here during this first little run up, we got about 88. So at some point, this has to cool off. We just don't know when. Not sure if it can make it to this 535 level, but if we look at the Fibonacci's, I think we're coming into about 78 here. So 78 is still 436, but we're in the golden pocket here where we'd expect a reversal. So this one's tough. It's really difficult to time this one. The options premiums are insane on this. Because the volatility is so high. So even for a 3-day at the money put, you're looking at $30. So you're looking at $3,000 a contract. So pretty insane there. So just want to be careful with that. And that's only 3 days to expiration. So just crazy stuff there. Let's take a look at the semiconductor index. This is one that really caught me off sides. I was short the semiconductor index from the top here, was looking for this to roll over, was really encouraged by this breakdown. But then we had this false breakdown and market manipulation here that just skyrocketed this back up almost 30% in a matter of a few weeks. So now we're reapproaching this $400 trend line level. So we got to see if we can get some resistance here to pull this thing off, because just unrelenting again on the move on this one. So same thing with the SMH, another index in the semis. This one, clean up my chart here a little bit. Pulling into trendline support here, does have some room above on a smaller time frame trend line, and kind of a confluence here. So we'll see what happens. I mean, this is just, the theme is just will not die. Money was pouring into these the other day, especially names like SanDisk. This really led the charge. You saw NVIDIA, it did okay. A decent run up there, but a bunch of this came from names like SanDisk, where crashed into this trend line, and just look at this move from the low was $550 all the way to $1,000, almost 100% gain in the matter of a few weeks. This is just crazy, crazy stuff. Another name, Light, had a similar move. Was already up there pretty big, but was 650 to 960. Just what's that, about a 50% move. So just crazy stuff on some of these names. What else was there in that Western Digital? Yeah, just this one breakdown broke through this trend line. Just insane stuff. I haven't seen anything like this in a really long time. This is just absolutely ridiculous stuff. So here, let's look at a few things that we've got on the calendar. Nothing really major happening today. I'm sorry, no, there is core PPI today at 8:30. Let's take a look at how it reacted to that. I forgot that was going on. So we did see a little spike. Maybe this is a little liquidity grab on that core PPI. We'll see. Market needs a reason to go down from here. So it looks like it was, holy cow. So they were forecasting 1.1%, came in at 0.5, so beat expectations, basically implying that no inflation from the war is coming through. But the market didn't react super positively to that. So we'll see how things turn out at the open on that. But we got some Fed governors speaking. Nothing major tomorrow except for some Fed governors. And then look at the president's schedule for the day, see if there's any opportunities for him to move the markets. So 1:30, meeting with the Speaker of the House in the Oval Office. I'm not sure if the press is there, but and then there's going to be an interview at 4 p.m. Ambassador of China. That's interesting, at 5:30. So definitely some market moving events here. On the earnings, take a look at how some of these reacted yesterday. Goldman Sachs was down pre-market. Here on earnings, it's really filling that gap. But we've got these error candles in there. So this one's, it's had a good couple years. We'll see if it can sustain this growth, but not a super bullish looking chart there. Definitely not one I would enter. See JP Morgan, BlackRock, those all reported this morning alongside J&J. So, man, these phantom candles really screw up these charts. So kind of a mixed reaction there on JP Morgan. BlackRock up a little bit on theirs. So similar looking charts. All the banks are going to have those similar looking charts there. Let's look at CarMax. That's something that I've alerted to our group. Picking up off the support here at $35. Not a great earnings, but was a little bit overheated. So sometimes you can see that where just the technicals drive the reaction. If you're a little too hot, you can just get that even if results are positive on CarMax. So looking at this to go to 60, 90, 120, 155. We're also up against this 50-week moving average. So this really, to me, looks like a technical sell-off, not so much a news-driven sell-off. Just had gotten a little bit too hot there. Check out Wells Fargo. Yeah, same look as JP Morgan. Again, these crazy prints coming in. Not really sure what to make of those. And then Albertsons picking up again with the grocery theme. Sell off here has been starting to lose momentum. So this name doesn't really move much. Not something I would really touch on that. So we've got some big ones tomorrow: ASML, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Progressive, some more banks. So here on ASML, same thing with the semis, just false breakdown and absolute ripper the last week. So we'll see if it can sustain that momentum. What was the other? Was it Bank of America? Oh no, and Morgan Stanley. Same look here on Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, same chart. So those are all looking exactly the same there. Let's see what. Let's go to the super dashboard here. We did see some bullish calls coming in. Still on Marvell, still on SanDisk. This person's insane. See if this works out for them. And then light. So just continually nonstop into AI, memory, chips, that kind of stuff. And then on the bearish side, we're starting to see SanDisk, Circle, Micron, SanDisk. So we're starting to see some bearish flow into SanDisk. Here, it's hard to say, is it going to make it to this 1100 level? That's where I would be shorting this with two fists. But apparently that bearish whale is expecting it to run out of steam here at maybe the psych level of 1000. So we'll see what happens with that. But honestly, with the amount of momentum this has, I wouldn't be surprised to see it reach 1100 there. Let's take a look at Circle. I was a little bit surprised by this because crypto's been doing really well this last week. So already up almost 300% here on this move, retracing a little bit and looking kind of bullish again. So not sure what that whale sees in Circle being bearish on this, but. And then we looked at Micron. Here we had some puts in. Avis. Again, $60 for these puts. Out of the money puts for 157 days, $60. It's difficult to chase. On the long-term side, looks like we had Meta, some bullish stuff there. On some of the bigger names here. Yeah, pretty much everything bullish still. Just really chasing this rally, really trying to keep it going yesterday. And then some of the flow alerts. Let's see if we have anything here that really sticks out to us. We've got floor trade large cap on Futu. This is bearish. Let's check out what this is. So Chinese listed companies. I don't know what these guys do, but maybe this guy's seeing this trend line. I'm not sure what they're seeing here. We've seen these momentum names resolve these patterns to the upside. So interesting bearish call there. Does kind of look like the chart's rolling over, but I don't know. PCG. That was this bullish or bearish? So that's on the. So this one, PCG, that's not really a lot there to to make this one. So PG&E Corp. Yeah, interesting stuff. So, and then let's close things out with our latest insider trading. We didn't really have much yesterday. We did go over these COEs yesterday morning. Those came in right as we were doing our stream. So really bullish looking chart here, bouncing off of this $20 level. Can go for this $35 resistance, then 56. So really like the setup of this. This person's pouring, the CEO is pouring a ton of money into this name. So it's something that really stood out yesterday and really hasn't moved off of yesterday. Here, the new German fund, this has been getting some action lately, kind of building a bull flag here. You need to see it break above this 12.5 level. What else do we have? HTO and SMC. So here we've got a, depending on how you draw this with the wicks. Sometimes the snap can be really helpful and sometimes it's really annoying. There we go. So pulling into this trend line now, you need to see this break above 60 to get its push. Otherwise, it's going to fail at this trend line. And remember, the third touch is usually, it looks the most obvious, like it looks like it's going to clearly break through, only for it to fail. We do have a little bit of rolling over on the MACD here. That's not a super big deal, but the third touch is always, seems super obvious. Then we've got SMC, Summit Midstream. So the oil and gas play, really continuing here. I don't love the look of this. I mean, you could do something like that and look for a push there. So we'll see what happens with this, if it can keep up that momentum. I guess maybe a former high here turned resistance. So interesting chart there, but I think that this is more of a long-term play. 37 million is a big buy. MNR, natural resources. We've seen a lot of these natural resource names start to look pretty bullish here. So could see this push off of this $12 level. And then CHPT. I think there's going to be, again, this huge renewal in energy, basically all kinds of energy. Energy diversification, I think, is going to be a big theme because of the war, what we just experienced, that we need to make sure that we have enough diversified energy to power everything in cases like this. So massive beaten down chart from the COVID days, all the way down from $1,000 to $4, currently sitting at 540. So it's got some bullish signs here, but obviously some concerns with how beaten up this is. You got to be careful with these, but and also just not a big buy here. 250,000 from the president and CEO is not a whole lot. So final chart here, ACET. Yeah, I wouldn't touch this. Just buy a small biotech. You don't know what's going on under the hood here. Lots of stock splits. It's not something I would go after. So, yeah, I guess with that being said, getting ready to wrap up the stream here. Remember, anytime you join in, if you want a ticker charted, if it's something you own, if it's something you're considering buying, if you're not sure if you should buy or sell, go ahead and hit that in the comments. I've got the comments open during the stream here so that I can keep track of those and chart those out for you. So would love to have some participation so I can share that with you. And after this, I'm headed over to our Discord to start working with our members. But If you want to join the Discord, there's a link in the bio for a free 7-day trial. We'd love to have you in there. Our focus is on like 60 to 180 day options plays, and then we're doing longer term buy and hold investments. So come check us out. And remember, we're live Monday through Thursday at 8:30. No streams on Friday. So we will see you tomorrow at 8:30.